back to D&D Beyond, and we are back again in what has become my favorite sort of rhythm. Michael, it's 2-week countdown time for a brand new D&D book.
I know, I'm
So
so excited for this. It's so fun.
So, of course, I stole Michael from his other duties and looped in the great Aliza Pearl of Unwelcome Spirits and many other amazing things to talk with me all about some of the things we're looking forward to. And specifically today, we want to get into the upcoming adventure book. Critical Role, Call of the Netherdeep features something pretty cool and kind of new for a published adventure from D&D. It is going to feature prominently a team of NPC rival adventurers who could take lots of paths. But what does that mean? What do we know about them? And how can you use rivals to add a new dimension to a campaign? Michael, first off, what does it mean? What's the concept here of rivals?
Right, so, something that is big about this adventure is that it's very character driven, right? So, it's not so much that there is this one big thing that's happening, and if you don't address it, everything falls apart. I'm being vague here on purpose, but, because it's character driven, that means that you have playing against or maybe even for your party members is you have these rivals, these NPCs, this other adventuring group that is kind of working toward their own goals, but also goals that kind of align or overlap with what the party members are trying to do. So, in a way, these rivals are acting as a sort of pressure on the party to kind of move forward on their own goals, knowing that they're not the only heroes of this story, or villains, I guess, if you're playing as as antagonistic type characters. So that's kind of how the rivals play in. Is like they're kind of these characters that you can play off of, and they also work to push the players.
And you can hear a little bit about more about this, by the way. We are basing some of this on, and you should definitely go check out the comments by one Matthew Mercer, the lead writer on this project, along with a great team and the creator of Exandria. Most of you will be familiar. And if you're not, hey, no worries. No wrong time. I think you're going to dig it. There's a lot of good stuff. But you can go check out his comments. He referred to the rivals as a ticking clock, which I love as an idea for sort of pushing forward the events. Aliza, what seems cool or fun or interesting about this concept for a full length adventure?
Well, I think what's awesome about, putting rivals that level up with your PCs in a published adventure is great for beginning players and more experienced players, and for very different reasons. So, beginning players might need a little push, and that's where the ticking clock comes in, where they might not be sure which way to go. They're not sure how to negotiate among themselves. What do we do next? What needs to be done? What could we do? And you have this whole band of PCs NPCs who are there to kind of push them along. So really great. It's kind of like a guideline that the players can kind of follow. And then for more experienced players, there's a lot of really great role playing that can come out of this. And maybe players who are super experienced and know all the rules and are just like really dope at the D&D math, but maybe don't dive into role playing as much. I think as a dungeon master, you can pick an NPC who's going to challenge like certain players specifically and really like ping off of some of their personality traits and kind of maybe like bring them out into their role playing selves more.
That's fantastic advice. And it's funny because prepping for this, I was sort of reacquainting myself with sections that I may have skimmed in the past, but with some of the guidelines that are already in the Dungeon Master's Guide on social interaction, which includes things like helping reluctant players come into the role playing or advice for putting that into
Mhm.
practice, and a ton of mechanics for keeping track of attitudes, for challenging and putting into practice resolution mechanics for these social interactions, that these are going to give you great opportunities to put into play. In addition, of course, to the reference that you might remember, if you've picked up Xanathar's Guide to Everything from a couple years back, there is a section in there on rivals. So this idea has been around creating rival NPCs. We see references to it in Acquisitions Incorporated in that book. But I think this is the first time that you have a dedicated party that we've got information for that is gonna grow up, like Aliza said, along with your party throughout the adventure. And of course, that is it's very classically Critical Role to have a lot of side characters you're going to fall in love with. I love that they're bringing that to the table right away because we all know that's a part of the experience. But how exactly it plays out in your campaign could be just like a rival role, or could be very very different, which I think is a lot of the fun of it.
It's D&D.